for a little while. This thing has been running 24/7 since the tomatoes started coming in. Yeah. Well, our video today is going to be an update, and we're going to show you what we've got going on for fall, where we've been, what we've been doing while we've been gone. Just little updates. I'm going to try to keep it short and sweet so we can get down to the garden and I can show you what we got going on for fall. I know you didn't get to see all the summer garden, but let me tell you, some things were good, some things were terrible, some things were, nothing was prolific or great this year. It just, the heat that we got in June, which was way early for us to get that kind of heat. Oh, and let me welcome you. My name is Morella, and welcome to Blackpackhomestead. If you've never been here before, my husband and I live in the beautiful mountains of western North Carolina, where we are getting lovely, cool fall weather, and it's making our leaves turn, so, you know, lots of color going on. And we have a property that is about 0.81 of an acre, so not quite an acre, and we raise chickens, meat rabbits, and quail, and Pomeranian dogs, our dogs out here in the yard. Hopefully that came out and you got to see them in the beginning. And we do a garden, we have perennials, we have fruit trees. Our fruit trees this year just were prolific. Where our garden didn't do so great, God gave us so much in our fruit trees. We've gotten more from our fruit trees this year than any year before. So the abundance came, just not in the exact way we are used to getting it. So, you know, God supplied. So yeah, that's a little bit about us. Oh, and I have Crohn's disease, which is an inflammatory bowel disease that is autoimmune, that come along with a lot of unusual, weird complications. Currently, right now, I don't really eat a lot. I'm on what's called TPN, or total peritoneal nutrition, where I get fed through my veins. I've got a portacath here in my chest. So that's a little bit about us, and my husband works a day job as well as does the homestead. So that's a little bit about us. Now let's talk about our gardening year. I was struggling this summer. I was not feeling well at all. Our garden struggled this summer, as I was telling you, with the terrible heat we got in June. But like I said, the fruit trees have provided. We have been running this dehydrator 24/7. And just let me show you some of the abundance. This is one of, I think there are 2 other gallon bags of peaches. These are just dehydrated, lovely, lovely peaches. They're beautiful. You can you can eat them just like this, or you can reconstitute them and make a peach cobbler. I got into reconstituting my tomatoes, and I've made some of the best spaghetti sauce I've ever made in my life. We also did some, not all, but some of our yellow summer squash. There you go, and you can rehydrate it and use it in soups, or just dump it in soups, you know. Here is one bag of our cherry tomatoes. Lovely. Eat them as a snack like this, or throw them in a stew, throw them in a soup. They're divine. And these are some of our slicers from this year. You can this is what I used to make the spaghetti sauce, and I've done it 3 times, and it is easier than opening the jar from the store. I mean, it's not that hard, and I love it. Maybe one day I'll feel well enough to show you that recipe. It is amazing. And then there's more cherry tomatoes. And we have pear chips, which you can reconstitute, make pear butter. You can make a pear pie, you know, or try to. Or just eat them like this as a snack. this is where the bounty is in our figs. This is so heavy. And this is only one of the bags. I think we were working on another one. But this is so heavy. This probably has to weigh like 5 pounds. Figs are so dense. But once again, you could eat them like a snack. I accidentally put them in a stew the other night. And it worked. It was alright. Because I thought it was cherry tomatoes. And then we have some of our apples that we also dehydrated. Do the same thing. Eat it for a snack. Rehydrate it. Try to make a pie with it. I've never done that. But yeah, we need to get the air out of these. We were just waiting to get done with the dehydrating so we could actually put them in jars and vacuum seal them. Because even in these bags, they'll start getting air in them. Because I was using up the ones, the slossers and the paste tomatoes from last year, making this sauce. And yeah, they were definitely damp. We didn't get them in jars, but they were still great for that. Talking about the garden, well, this is all the squashes, the winter squashes that I grew. I had 2 butternut squash plants. I got two squashes off of each plant. I had 1 sugar pumpkin pie plant, and I got 1, and it was the weirdest pumpkin plant I've ever grew. It never made runners. It stayed small like a summer squash, you know, and just kind of branched out. But it gave me 1 little sugar pumpkin, so that's probably enough to make me a pie. And so yeah, and the honey nuts, there's more than this. I think, okay, I got 5. I got 5 honey nuts off of 2 plants. None of those squash plants did good. But my summer squash plants, we just now pulled them up and they were still producing. And the reason we pulled them up is we needed to plant onions, and so we needed that ground. So the chickens got a great treat yesterday when we pulled up the squash, or actually Sunday when we pulled up the squash. They absolutely loved it. So what else about the garden? My collard plants I left to go to seed actually never went to seed. They just kept growing, so you'll see those down there. My Swiss chard that we left down there to go to seed never went to seed. It's still down there, but I think we still have 2 cherry tomato plants that are down there that are still producing. We've got a couple of volunteer cherry tomato plants that are still producing. My beans, oh my gosh, they got attacked by the Mexican bean bug, and we couldn't get control of it. I got enough to make 1 good big pot of beans, and out of that, what we hadn't eaten, it's, you know, cooked, ready to go. I went ahead and froze it, and I just have a quart in the freezer. Last year we had so many beans, it was not even funny. So, you know, we still have some of those from last year, thank God. But anyway, so that's pretty much the summer garden, which did not do well. But as you can see, we definitely had the bounty from our fruit trees. So before we go down to the garden, I'm going to show you the green stalk, because you guys didn't get to see it planted in its summer glory with basil and some annual flowers. And now it's set for the winter with a couple of perennial things that I've got in there that'll stay, that are flowers. So let's go check that out, and then we'll go look at the garden. Okay, so my green stalk. I've got a spider that really wants to live here. I've got to clean that off. It'll kill that plant. It really will kill that plant. But there she is. There's my green stalk. I grew some basil in here over the summer, and I think this soil I got, this bagged soil, is no good. Nothing grew well, and this lettuce has only been in here a week, but it is putting on some new growth, so that's a good sign. So I've got lettuce, I've got some kale, I've got some onion chives, I've got some wild field garlic chives right here. And I've got more on the other side. And then these are regular domestic garlic chives. And then these are more field garlic chives. The garlic chives that grow wild in your yard. So that's what those are. I like to grow native and wild things and use them. I think it's great fun. But then of course here we still got all these different colors of lettuce. We've got a purslane down there. We've got an ice plant right there covered up, and some thyme I rooted early in the spring. I rooted it right there in the pot. And I also rooted some oregano right here in the pot. And I also rooted some rosemary, if you can see that through my bamboo. There's the rosemary I rooted right here in the pot. Just stuck it in the dirt, kept it super, super moist and watered. And there you go. It was the summer of me learning how to propagate plants. Because I also did hydrangeas, which are over here in this planter where the sage is, the big sage. See, these hydrangeas I propagated. Oh, and there's some stonecrop and some thyme that I grew from seed. And there's another hydrangea. I've got to find a place to actually plant them for real. You know, instead in here, they can't stay there. But that's my old good basil plant. Here's some volunteer echinaceas I found in my flower bed, and I put them here till I decide where I want to put them. But yeah, that's my main planters up here. We got 2 new figs, and we are growing the Chicago Hardy, and now we have the brown turkey and the beer black fig, which we haven't planted yet. It's right over here. It's right there. See, it's Beer's black fig, and it's supposed to be hardy for our zone. But there she is in a 1-gallon pot. That's the way to buy it, because this was only $10. The ones in the 3 gallons are like 30 or 40. But we have loved having the figs this year. I've learned that fig is one of my favorite fruits. So, and I made some amazing fig butter. I meant to bring a jar out here with me. I made so much fig butter, and I made peach butter. I didn't make apple butter because we really didn't get to our apples at the right time. We're learning that apple tree. This is like the first year it's really produced. Okay, so now let me meet you down in the garden and we'll check out the fall garden. That was a little overview of our garden. If you remember, right about where I'm standing is where I had my summer squashes. They took over this whole area. They grew like winter squashes and put out so much squash. I mean, I was giving squash away. The chickens were eating squash. The rabbits were eating squash. Everything was eating squash. We were eating squash. But I love summer squash, so didn't have a problem with that. Anyway, so this is where the summer squash was, and on the trellis behind me, right here, is where our beans were that did not do well at all. They just could not overcome the bean bug, the Mexican bean beetle, no matter what. But we do have on this trellis now, we got some peas coming up. So there's yet life for this trellis. We're going to get us some sugar snap peas going here. They're still little. We've still got a good ways to go, about 4 weeks before we should get frost. So they should be good to go. So I love some sugar snap peas. They're just yummo, 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 yummo. And I'm going to take you down on the other side of this trellis, which is where Chris and I put our onions this year. As you can see, I have a store-bought onion right here that I plugged in because it had started sprouting. And that's to say, this is where our onions are planted. Please don't walk here. So Chris bought about $7 worth of onions, and we figure we'll get 50 to 100 onions out of it. So that's pretty good return. The next thing that we have to plant is our garlic, and it's probably going to go behind the blueberry bushes, because if you don't know, garlic and blueberries are friends. Like, they're good companion planting. Onions are good companion planting with, man, these little gnats are out right now. But onions and garlic are good companion planting with your blueberries, because they like a similar soil and, you know, good drained soil, not really wet. They want it more dry, so they go well together. So we'll be planting our garlic here. And as much as we love no-till, as much as no-till is in our hearts, because we have started the raking pen where the chickens now make compost out of the spent hay from the rabbits, instead of that coming over here and being our organic matter to go back into our garden. And mulch helps keep your soil damp and supple and not hard. It keeps it from getting hard, really, especially with clay. And we just have not had enough mulch. So Chris was like, it's going to take me forever to do this with a hoe. You know, we're just going to have to get a tiller. So we just got a small Mantis top tiller just to break up the surface a little bit for us. But we're looking for other sources of mulch that we can get. We're going to use some of the wood chips from the chickens that have came out of the fence. They fell through the fence. There's quite a lot there, so we're going to get one good layer of cut grass on here, and then we'll put the wood chips on top of that, because you do your greens, then your browns, greens, then browns. And this will just get tilled up. I'll probably come through and pull up a lot of this grass, because the chickens will love to eat it. And I want some of these leaves to go in my flower bed. Leaf mulch. I want some leaf mulch. I mean, don't you love leaf mulch for your garden? I mean, yeah. Well, the blueberries did not do all that great this year. It's because we got that weird cold snap. Same reason we're still getting figs, because it reset. You know, when it got cold, it kept some of the figs, but it reset and pushed out even more figs. But the blueberries tried to do that, but they weren't as successful as they have been in years past. But we're praying for a good blueberry year next year. And here we are on the other side of the onion patch, and I just wanted to show you my asparagus. This is what asparagus does when it goes to seed. See, it makes these berries. These are poisonous. Please do not eat these. But they are beautiful when they fan out and make their fern, and then they set their seed. It's just a cool plant. And next spring we'll be eating it, because we'll finally have enough to where we can actually eat our asparagus. Yay! So now going on up here, past where we have the onions and the peas. Oh, look, a volunteer zinnia. How beautiful. I throw zinnia seeds everywhere, like everywhere. So we get all these volunteers. And these under the apple tree. Got a nice pinky one. And then this one was really pretty, but it's doing weird things. See how it started out really pale pink, and then it started turning darker pink, and now it's just gorgeous. Even though its petals aren't really putting out and it's struggling, it is a gorgeous color. I would throw down those seeds just to get that color again. Okay, so here we are on the other side of the pea trellis, not the bean trellis, the pea trellis. And you'll find where we had our tomatoes planted, or beside where we had our tomatoes planted, we got some kale. And I wanted to move them over here to this side of the trellis because nothing ever grows over here. Everything grows on that side of the trellis, or right under the trellis. And I wanted to not grow our cabbages up in the front of the garden where the Swiss chard is, where we usually grow them, because we've grown them there several years in a row, and I feel like it's time to grow them somewhere else. Just, you know how it is. So there's all the cabbages, different varieties. We've obviously got a red cabbage and we've got a green cabbage. I cannot remember the names of them. Can't remember. But they're cabbages. They're going to make heads of cabbage, and then we're going to make sauerkraut out of them. That is the plan. And then, after that, go through the flags. You come to my very tall okra, and to my okra that's setting okra really low again, because my father-in-law told me you harvest the okra, you take the limb below it off, and then you're not itchy when you're in here picking. It's amazing, and it still sets okra. See, there's a bunch coming up there. They're kind of slowed down because of the cold nights, but this is what excites me, all this new growth down here at the bottom, putting on all that. Off of these, 2, 4, 5, 6 plants, of course I've not gotten enough to put up. We just ate it fresh, well, cooked it and ate it fresh. And I let 2 pods get really huge, huger than this, huger than those, huger than those, to save for seed. And since those are already so big and we're here in October, I'm probably going to do the same thing and let them be seed-saving pods of okra. So if you go down the what was cucumbers and tomato row, we're going to find more cabbage. Another purpley cabbage. And then we have a volunteer ground cherry. How awesome is that? I doubt we'll actually get ground cherries. It is making flowers. And then this one, this marigold decided to get giant, and it's going to choke this poor guy out. So I'm going to have to prune that there marigold back. And my cabbages are getting eaten. I need to put some diatomaceous earth on my cabbages. Obviously, all my big marigolds, my big cosmos, my last kicking cherry tomato. This is a sweet 100, and I've not been pleased with it at all. And this is lamb's quarter going to seed. See how pretty and pink? Lamb's quarter. We're going to have so much lamb's quarter, I'm going to be able to dehydrate some next year. And more cabbage. And more cabbage. And then this is the Chadwick cherry that's still got a couple. That one's split. I need to give that to the Chicons. And I need to give that one to the Chicons. They love a good tomato. But yeah, that's the tomatoes that are here. My Cosmos finally got big and did what Cosmos does. So did my marigolds and more cabbage. And then you come on around to the front where we had all of the winter squashes. I had them all right here. If you saw that video, I planted them all right here in front of this Swiss chard in hopes that they would run up this hill behind me. I trained them that way, but they probably, see where this tuft of grass is? They probably went that far from where they were planted. That was a volunteer in the middle of the yard, and that was when Chris mowed them down and he left that patch of grass to leave me that zinnia. But yeah, some of them might have got this far. You can see where that is to where I'm standing. They just did not do well at all. But our carrots We've left them in the ground to overwinter them. I pulled one and it had like 3 legs, but it was a white carrot and it was good, and I put it in some rabbit stew. And so here the carrots are. They're going to seed now, so we hope they will shed their seed and we'll have more carrots right in the same spot in spring, and then we can pull these over winter if we want to eat and all that good stuff. And my holy basil like never sprouted this year, but I got some volunteer holy basil. Volunteers are just such a blessing because I love this plant. The pollinators love this plant. And so I was so excited. You should be here for smell-o-vision. It smells so good. I love it, I love it, I love it. And then there's the Swiss chard, which has been here since the spring. And it's just still growing. When it breaks off, it'll just do that. It'll just fall over. I guess because the leaf gets too heavy. I get all the ones off the ground and go take them to the chickens. But as you see, I've done that recently because there's not that many on the ground. And then we have the 2 collards that we left to go to seed, right? Well, here they are. They're big, just as you would expect them to be, but they did not go to seed. Some sort of beetle. I wish I could get that right there. It's either its larva or that. It's not going to let me take its picture. Where'd it go? Can you see it? That is what is eating my collards. And we've put DE on it, and that doesn't seem to faze them. I don't know, but I'm just hoping when it gets cold enough and we get some good frost that they'll be gone, and then I'll get some good leaves before it gets too cold. Can you see them? And that's a better picture of that one. If you know what that is, tell me, because I'd like to know. Let's go throw these cherry tomatoes to the chickens, because I'm getting all cherry tomato juice. You know, I gotta give one to the raking pen, one, and then one to the silkies. I know it's one baby tomato, but can't help it. Hey, cuckoo. Hello, pretty birds. I hear you, Pollock. Is that so good? Uh-oh. Chicken fight. Chicken fight. There's Pollock. Pollock, you're getting so big. You're getting so big. He is an olive egger rooster, aren't you? There they are. Who got it? Who got it? There it is. They're still running with it. I love my chickens. Alright, here's your excitement. Here's your excitement. Oh, you don't really care, do you? They're all like, we're all such top friends. We don't care. We share. She just stepped on it. Come on. Oh, Crowbar got it. Go, Crowbar. Oh, now since looks like Snow White has it. So back to the garden now that I got that out of my hand. I did have 2 of these little lunchbox pepper plants. This one finished up, had no more fruit on it, and I decided he was done. This one still has fruit. We're waiting to ripen. They're little orange, sweet lunchbox peppers. And then this was the pollinator corner that you saw in the butterfly short, but a lot of things have gone. My sunflowers have finished, and the borage finished. And I just pretty much got zinnias, calendula, a little bit of marigold. That's the garden. So we've still been growing. See, these are the volunteer tomatoes that we have here with the mint. And there's some that are rote. See, we've been harvesting these guys, and these are volunteers. This is from me doing this. When I've had too many, I'd squish the tomato and go, oh, thank you. And then you get volunteer tomatoes. It may not be just like that cherry tomato, but I guarantee you it'll be a tomato. So I want to end this video by saying we've still been growing food. Life has still went on the homestead. We just hatched another batch of quail. This will be our first batch this year, actually, because we were working on getting our egg-laying flock built up to where we would not run out of eggs ever. Somebody would be laying. So work still goes on even if we don't video it. Videoing it takes a lot more time than if I just come out here and walk around and look at my garden and go, oh, it's got this bug or that bug. I'm not explaining it. I'm not trying to get a good shot of it with my camera, which takes a minute. And I love it. I love making videos. I love carrying this camera around and talking to it. It is just, by the time I do that, editing does become a chore. As much as I'm proud of the product, the finished product that we put out when we edit, it's just hard to get that motivation to do it because I'm wore out and tired from doing the video. We have thought a lot about whether or not we should continue with YouTube. I mean, we really have. We've been on here for 4 years, and I'm going to be upfront and transparent with you. One of the main reasons I wanted to do YouTube was so that we could make money and content and teach people how to grow their own food, because even before the pandemic and everything that's going on in the world right now happened, our food system was still already broken. With the chemicals and with all the processing of the food and driving it from long distances. So we felt led to share that, to share how to grow your own food, raise in your backyard a meat source. And that's what we felt like God was leading us to do, but a part of it was to make money so Chris and I could do this full time. And we could garden full time and really make something of the garden, whether that be selling, started plants like perennials, grafting trees, doing cuttings from elderberries, selling things like that instead of produce, get people started. But that would have to come after Chris could quit work. And so I was in prayer and hopeful that YouTube would be the way for him to come home and we could start that business with the perennials and selling them, so on and so forth. That's why I've learned to propagate a lot of plants this year. But as of right now, we're gonna push through and we're gonna make some videos and we're just gonna see what happens. Those faithful 14 people who watch our videos enjoy them, and so guys, we're doing it for you because I got some of the most beautiful comments. Please don't stop. You make me smile every time I see your video up. I smile. I always learn something from you when I watch one of your videos. And that just lit my world on fire and made me feel like these people really want this information. They really want to hang out with me and Chris and watch our funny dynamic because we are kind of ridiculous sometimes, it's like we've got to hang on and we've just got to try some more. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to try some more. I don't know if I'll be consistent. I don't know when the next video will be made. I've got ideas for the next 3 videos, but if that happens, I don't know. A lot of it depends on my health and my motivation. I didn't really feel like doing this. I made this video today hoping it would make me feel better because I was down and I didn't feel good in my body. And I'll tell you, talking to the camera, knowing you guys are eventually going to see this, it really does help. And I am mentally uplifted. My body is tired. I could take a nap. But the problem was I was mentally down. And so it's like, get dressed, put your clothes on, take your camera outside and make a video for these people. They love you and they need to hear from you. And I appreciate that. I appreciate that y'all love me because we love y'all too. Just be in prayer for our channel, that we would stick to it, and there would be a desire in our heart and a leading from the Lord. Well, I could talk about this for like ever, and so I'm going to stop talking. So, that being said, thanks for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed this little video. I hope to see you next time here at the Blackpack Homestead. Take care, guys. We love you, and God bless. Bye.